Now, before we get into defense, we do have, I believe, two things that we should cover. One is the Chargers' new head coach, and two is the possibility of Bieniemy going to the Texans. Now, obviously, that's not a sure thing, but like we were talking about before we started in the podcast, it looks like that the Texans are waiting on Bieniemy to at least, I don't know, do a second interview or a third, or if that's their guy, I don't know. But Bieniemy's still out there, and there's only one team left, the Texans, because who just announced? Was that the Lions that just announced?
Yeah, they hired
Eagles.
Oh,
the Eagles are working on hiring the guy from the Colts. What's his name?
Sriracha. Yeah, offensive coordinator.
That's not it, but I'm going to call it Sriracha.
Sriracha's fine. Close enough.
No, but I mean,
Frank Reich Jr., I think.
We were concerned that we were going to get like a Dable or a Bieniemy head coach for the Chargers, which would be terrible for the Broncos. Those are two potentially really good head coaches that you don't want going to an AFC division rival.
Mm-hmm.
We got Vic's protege though.
Yeah, who did they hire?
Staley.
Brandon Staley.
Yeah, Staley. Woo!
Yeah.
He was our linebackers coach and then defensive coordinator for Rams. They had a good defense, but they also have ridiculous, they have Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. So, I mean, and then, I don't know. I'm not as worried as I would have been with Dable because I think the worst thing that could have happened was someone that is good at developing a quarterback like Josh Allen, who is Justin Herbert, who is very much like Josh Allen. That would have been real trouble. But we'll see. He might be. He moved up the ranks real quick, so that's the only thing that worries me.
Yeah, the only thing I could wish for the Chargers would have been if they would have hired the get punched and bite kneecaps coach. But I don't want that. I
don't want our kneecaps bitten off, like you said they would do. So
the Lions actually hired a real
pass.
I actually talked about this with my co-host Rich, and we personally agreed that the reason why Brandon Staley's resume looked so good was because he inherited a defense that Wade Phillips did a really good job building in Los Angeles with the Rams. And like Marcus said, he had Aaron Donald, he had Jalen Ramsey, he had a revived Leonard Floyd. So he had all these really good players in that defense. So it's really surprising that the Chargers went. Would you call Anthony Lynn an offensive coordinator type of head coach?
Yeah, he was.
Because I think
running back.
Okay, so I think that they flipped the switch, and they're probably going to see if they can improve their defense in terms of because they already have their golden goose in Justin Herbert, so they're probably figure that they need to restructure their defense so they can try to be more formidable again. But the problem is that Chris Harris Jr. I love Strap Harris. I love what he did for Denver, but he's on a bit of a decline. I don't think he's going to be as great as he was before in his prime. And Darian Stewart, who's a really awesome player, just cannot seem to stay healthy. So the Chargers are going to need a lot of help on defense in terms of trying to turn that ship around. So who knows if Brandon Staley is the guy to do it.
Darian Stewart's on the Chargers?
Sorry, I messed up.
James?
Derwin James. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Derwin. I was like, what?
Like he came out of retirement?
Oh, my God.
Derwin James. I get him confused. My mistake.
Melvin Ingram is also on his way out there, too. So their defense is going to be diminishing right in time for a spark on coordinating.
They have an anti-Melvin's policy in the Chargers these days.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, and the only reason I bring it up is because there is still the potential that the Texans could hire Bieniemy, who obviously everybody knows he's on the Chiefs. Not saying that they will. In my mind, yeah, me too. I mean, in my mind, the two leading candidates of any NFL team should be Bieniemy and Brady, who are still available, or Dable, but they didn't interview him. So,
I think one of the main things. I think one of the main things that people don't think about is also that it can come from a coach's perspective where they might not want to they can go and interview, but then they might decide that it's not for them and pull out. I mean, that's happened many times. And this whole situation that's going on with Houston is just not appealing to. You have no one on your roster besides Deshaun Watson, and who doesn't want to be there. So, I mean, he hasn't technically asked for a trade yet, but I mean, you don't like how is that appealing for a coach to come in and want to be able to deal with this? So it's kind of a weird situation.
Okay. Yeah. So let's spin it this way. So Deshaun Watson wants out of Houston, right? Everybody's saying like, there's no way that we would give up what the Texans are looking for Watson. What would you be willing to give up for Watson?
4 first rounds.
No, nothing else, just 4 first rounds?
They can have Drew.
What's your limit? Like, where will you go and then not go any farther?
I would go 4 first rounds in Drew Lock, or maybe Justin Simmons, because I mean, but they would want a younger player. They wouldn't want to deal with a new contract that they have to put on there. So it'd have to be a younger player like Jerry Jeudy or Noah Fant, which I wouldn't like, but I mean, I would, because I mean, you look at it, man. Like it's 4 first rounds. There's still 6 other rounds. I mean, minimum that I mean, plus other picks that you might pick up for those next 4 years. And I mean, it's 4 first round players that you're like, or maybes for a proven young Deshaun Watson. Like, I mean, not even a question for me. That's going to be that's over a decade of your quarterback situation, a top 5-7 QB for 10 years. I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, I think the highest I was going to go was 2 firsts and a second, and Von Miller and Drew Lock.
They don't want Von's contract. See, I would go 3 firsts.
But they've got Watson's contract.
I don't think Von Miller's really a trade bait right now. He's not. He's in the tail end. He's coming off a season-ending injury. He's got $18 million on cap that someone would have to take up. I don't like if we let Von go, someone's gonna pick him up for. I mean, maybe.
We haven't even gotten into it yet, Rich. Hold on, jeez.
You know what?
Boggin said Justin Simmons, and I look at the comments, and then there it is. I agree, Boggin.
I'm gonna have to disagree with all 3 of you, and I'm sorry. I think that Deshaun Watson is way too expensive. Don't get me wrong; he's a great player. He's amazing. He's everything that he got paid for. But I just don't think that what Denver would have to give up, whether it's 4 picks, whether it's 3 picks, whether it's Von, whether it's whoever it is, I just don't think that the risk is worth it. Frankly, because I don't really trust Pat Shurmur. Pat Shurmur has not really given anybody real reason to even have another season in Denver. So I just don't trust it. So, but that's just me.
I'll take exception to your Shurmur point, but okay.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you think about it, if we look at the other parts of our division, if we don't get top-notch quarterback play to throw to these weapons that we have, we're going to be sitting at best in 3rd place, probably for a good number of years.
Yeah.
So we need to do something pretty significant, either bringing in a Stafford or doing something with a Watson. But again, I wouldn't want to give up the whole weapon, the cachet of weapons, just because then what's the point of then we're the Texans, no picks and weapons for Watson.
Well, and we can kind of mesh this into going into defense, because I do get your point, Nadon, of like not giving up that much, but at the same time, like, offensive wise, we don't really need to draft anybody offensive wise. Like we're good.
Right
we don't have to.
No, from a 1st round pick, I think Mike's talking about.
Yeah, right? from a 1st round pick, we don't have to. But defensive wise, we know we need a linebacker. Potentially a cornerback, depending. Yeah. I don't think we spend a 1 on corner. That's too high.
No,
but I mean, I get it, like not giving up so much, but at the same time, like we don't need a lot either. So giving up a lot to get a Watson, I could understand from that viewpoint of well, we're giving up a lot, but we don't really need a lot either.
Yeah.
Offensive wise, at least.